Hello, students. A very good morning. So, happy Sunday. So, anyways, today we are going to have a very brief discussion about our first chapter, that is reproduction in organisms. So, even though it does not have that kind of a value for the competitive examination, but yet it is very essential for us to understand the very basics of what reproduction is and what is the significance of reproduction and how this particular portion of living organisms and where it takes place, okay, in one's life cycle. So before we head on to our chapter today, so let me have a technical check. So I'm going to launch a technical poll. Please let me know if the audio and video is clear. So I'll make it within 30 seconds so that we can carry on the classes without any delay. Chalo. So I hope it's fine. So if there is any problems, please let me know. Okay. I'm going to end the poll now. So let us start with this chapter. Tell me something. Yeah, by the end of this session, we are going to be talking about what is lifespan, what is reproduction and the significance of reproduction and types of reproduction. And in that, we're going to talk about types of asexual and sexual reproduction and what happens in events in sexual reproduction and phases of life cycle and embryogenesis, hopefully, within this session. Okay. So to begin with, let me ask you a question. We all know that what is asexual reproduction, right? So let me ask a question for you. Asexual reproduction is seen in the members of what kingdom? Okay, so you have your options: Monera, Plantae, Animalia, and all of this. So now you have a minute to answer this question. I'm gonna launch a poll. A minute is too much actually. Okay, I'm gonna launch a poll. So fatafat, you have to answer. Tell me, where can you observe asexual reproduction? Is it in kingdom Monera, Plantae, or kingdom Animalia, or all of these above? Okay, we're almost there. Yeah. All right, students. So can we check the what is the right answer? I'm going to end the poll now. So here the question is, asexual reproduction is seen in members of what? So if you take Monera, yes, the bacteria goes under binary fission, which is an example for asexual reproduction. If you talk about Plantae, okay, the lower members of algae, they also produce asexual spores. We know that, right? Zoospores. So here also asexual reproduction happens. When it comes to animalia, take for example sponges. Okay, so the sponges go under asexual reproduction such as fragmentation and production of conidia. So even in sponges, asexual reproduction is seen. So all these kingdoms, kingdom Monera, kingdom Plantae, and kingdom Animalia, all of them exhibit a type of asexual reproduction. So our option is all of the above. So let's go to the next question. Which of the following is the main purpose of a living in their life? Okay, so we have options: to consume food, to produce energy, produce offsprings and continue life, and then final option is fighting with each other. Okay, fighting with others. Anyways, so I will launch the poll again. So let's see if we have. What do you choose? So if you guys choose fighting with each other and consumption of food, in one way or towards my side, maybe option B, fighting with each other, becomes a major goal, right? One or the other way, we pick quarrels, either with your teachers or your friends or your family members. Anyways, so let me end the poll. I'll tell you one story before we start this. The same question was asked uh, when I was in my MSc in a cell biology class. What is the purpose of life? So I said that it is to reproduce. So everybody laughed, but I don't know why they laughed, but it was the right answer actually. Why? Because Every organism have this tendency to remain immortal, right? So however intelligent you are, however dull you are, whether you're a human being or an animal, okay, or whether you're four-legged or two-legged, whether you're flightful or flightless, you take, irrespective of your body's nature, organization, and intellect, it doesn't matter. Once you take birth, your juvenility, that means the younger age completes and you come to reproduction. Once the reproductive phase is happening, you go to the senescence. So the juvenility, the growth phase and the aging phase do not have so much of biological significance, right? So whereas biological significance in the sense, what is a motto of life, something like that. Okay, now not with respect to what are the things that is happening in your body. Whereas when it comes to reproductive phase, every organism is so keen to pass on its genetic material to the other generation, right? So that is why it becomes one of the most important factors of life. So if you have chosen to consume food and fighting with each other, okay, think about it again. And to produce energy, not everyone produces energy. We are consumption, so we do consume energy, right? And we produce a little bit of energy which is used for ourselves. So anyways, so this doesn't, it's not significant at all, but this is quite funny. Okay, it happens most of the time. Anyways, produce offsprings and continue life, this is very, very, very important. Okay, so what is reproduction according to you? So if I ask you reproduction, some of you might be very shy. Some of you might feel insignificant. Some of you might feel that, okay, production of offsprings, it's just a joke, right? So we take the factors of population and we just make jokes about it. And we talk about production of young ones and we make jokes about it. And either we feel shy or we feel insecure. There are so many emotions attached to this word called reproduction. But biologically it is super, super, super significant. Okay, so why it is so significant for a biological organism? So tell me guys, if I ask you in a classroom, how many of you want to be immortal, okay, or live forever? None of you will raise the hand because you're young and you have that capacity. Oh, who will live for such a long period of time? Okay, we're gonna finish the life short and happy, so let's get out of here. So that's what you're gonna tell. Ask like the people who are about 30 years old. 50% of them will tell that, okay, I want to live for a little more longer, right? So as the people who are like 45 to 50 years old, so they have the fear of death, right? So they want to have the longevity of the life. So they want to live for a longer time. They want to be on this earth. They want to see their children, their grandchildren, and so on and on and on. The desires will never end. So similarly, all the organisms on this planet, they don't want to die. They want to be immortal. Okay, is it possible for a biological organism to be immortal? Probably in a unicellular organism, we can see immortality. Whereas if you see the higher organisms, it is not quite possible. Why it is not possible? Thousands of factors are there. Why one organism is not allowed to live forever? Simple reason. If I am here now in 2023, right? After 100 years, like 2123, the earth is not the same. The climate is not the same. The resources are not the same. So my body adaptation and evolution will not be able to achieve for whatever is required to 2123, right? But what is possible through genetic variation, through evolution, or through recombination, right? So what through mutation, what is possible? Creation of new characteristics are possible. Continuity of the same characteristics are possible. Okay. So I can see my characteristics in my offsprings. That means my traits have been passed on from one generation to another generation. So the ancestry of this particular gene remains. So that is the, that, what do you tell? A little more depth to why reproduction is important. Anyways, so if we have to define reproduction is nothing but it's a biological process in which organism produces their young ones. So they're not absolutely same, but they're similar to them. Okay, almost similar to them. They will have some of the characteristics which are quite similar to their parents. Anyways, so when it comes to a reproduction cannot take place just like the baby is born, it reproduces and it perishes. It does not happen, right? So there is a space, there is a significant part in our life where this reproductive phase will take place, and this whole cycle of life, which we call it as samsara, right? So that is nothing but the life cycle. So whatever the events that happens, like birth, juvenility, reproductive phase, senescence, and then you have your death. So this entire thing, how many years it will take, that we can call it as lifespan. So when we talk about the lifespan, right? So let us say that we have a parrot, right? So we have an elephant. So if you compare the sizes of these two, you might be assuming that the parrot will live for a couple of months or a couple of years and it will die. But if you see really the lifespan of a parrot, it's around 140 years. Whereas if you see the lifespan of an elephant, it is around 60 to 80 years. So if you see the size of a pupil tree and if you compare it to the banyan tree, and if you compare the banyan tree to the redwood tree, banyan tree can live up to 200 years, whereas the redwood tree can live up to to 2000 to 3000 years, I assume. Okay. So the size, the structural organization, the complexity of the organism really do not matter in defining the lifespan of an individual. Okay, look at humans. Our grandparents used to live for 90 years. Now we are living up to 55 years, right? So we are the same size, but our lifespan has reduced. Okay, look at the same sized organism as you and compare the lifespans that are around you, right? If you compare the lifespan of a crow and if you compare it again with a parrot, it will be completely off scale. If you compare the lifespan of a zebra and if you compare it with a tortoise, it's completely different, right? So that is about lifespan. It's not at all depending upon the size, nature, anything. So it is very specific to specific individual species, we can tell. Okay. So coming to the reproduction, we know that reproduction has two types. One is asexual and sexual reproduction, and we are going to talk about it, right? So before we talk about the reproduction, let us talk about the life cycle. So the life cycle or the samsara cycle is very philosophical in many ways, right? So we're going to discuss life in so many different layers, but biologically it happens at a significant phases. For example, once the organism takes birth, so does it directly walk? Definitely no. So it takes some time to adapt, isn't it? So once a birth happens, the birth phase is followed by a lot of other phases, such as what? For example, juvenility or vegetative phase is another important phase. Now, why do we have juvenility? Why can't I just directly jump into adolescence? Why don't I become reproductively active the moment I'm born? Why should I wait for all these years, okay, to become reproductively capable? Why my body organs are not significant, strong enough to do certain things? Yes, definitely you are not strong enough. Not only physically, mentally and biologically, also you are not at all strong enough. So once the birth of an individual take place, now this juvenility is so important in your lifetime. Why? You might have just observe yourself, the environment you grew up in, the JNVs you grew up in, right? So compare it to the friends who have grown up outside. So this juvenility will teach them to adapt to their environment. Okay, build immunity to the diseases, know their enemies and friends, learn languages and techniques and skills that will help them to build a safer environment, okay, for a period of time. So one is the environmental factors, second one is the physical and physiological factors, and third one is the maturity of a mind and body. So this happens in all the organisms, you see. So that is where juvenility takes such an important phase in development of so many different criteria that are related to our life. Now, once the juvenility or the vegetative phase is achieved successfully, the post-juvenility comes the reproduction. Reproductive phase starts with adolescence, okay, or maturity in vegetative, in plants or in animals. So once the maturity is attained, okay, an organism becomes reproductively active. This reproductively active stage is exhibited in so many different levels, you see. So I mean, what kind of things I'm talking is, for example, if you take reproductive phase, in reproductive phase what happens, the expression is quite different. If you see primates, we have menstrual cycle. If you see non-primates, you have estrous cycle. Okay, so you have perennial, biennial. Okay, and then you have annual plants. So in reproductive phase also there are like certain phases where the organisms remains reproductively active, nor they remain reproductively inactive. So in this phase, okay, the fluctuations that are happening in the phase, we'll discuss about it as we go on. So here is a very significant phase where the organisms gain the physical, mental, and all the different strengths, okay, that are essential for it to have a safe reproductive phase. All right. So followed by the reproductive phase is the aging phase. It's like a biological clock. It's something that you cannot control. It's something that you don't have the authority over. You see, once you complete your reproductive phase, what is happening to your body? Like just like alarm is going to ring at 5 o'clock, okay, your body also starts losing its muscle. Okay, you become weaker, metabolism becomes weaker, intestines become loose. Okay, so your hormones will drop, so your cellular aging is fasting. So basically what will happen, you undergo a programmed cell death. So eventually you age and finally achieve this death, right? So this is the cycle of life. So as you see, you take the examples of how many years it takes to complete the cycle of life. Here you have the examples. Rose 5 to 7 years, parrot 140 years. You see, crocodile is so big, it's just 60 years. Okay, the crow, which looks like which just same size as a parrot, lesser size of a parrot. It survives for only 15 years. Okay, and then you have dog, 22 years. I wish they live for 100 years. You see, dogs, that creatures, they should live more. Anyways, you have elephants that are 50 to 70 years. You see, so the size and the shape do not matter at all in the number of years that you have in the lifespan. Here you have the crazy examples. You look at this, last one, the oldest plant in the USA, it's around 11,700 years. Okay, whereas the redwood tree, it's around 3,000 to 4,000 years. Okay, then you have people tree, you have 2,000 to 3,000 years. The banyan tree, so big it looks, it survives for 200 years. Look at tortoise and the banyan tree, right? They both survive for 200 years. And this parrot is one astonishing thing always, it strikes me. 140 years, right? Look at man, how many years? This is, I know most of you do not agree, right? 100 years. So average is 64.8. Okay, now we can count 64.8 years. That's what you're gonna live. Okay, so chalo. So this is about lifespan, and you have several examples from how it does not depend upon how they look or where they are from, etc., etc. Okay, students. So before we head on, since you were not present in the beginning, let me know if the voice in the video is clear. If not, if there is any technical difficulties, please make me aware of it. Okay. So, okay. So let us start with the topic, the reproduction. So as I said, reproduction is very, very significant process. Here what is happening is the animal has urge, okay, to pass on its genetics from one generation to another generation. So re means, again, production means, a formation of new individuals or young ones. Okay. So need to continue the race or need to continue the species. This is the first thing. And second thing is you have the feature for, this is one of the feature for the living organisms. That is, it has to make copies of itself, or it has to make more and more members of itself. So that is what defines living organisms. Without reproduction, so many things would halt on our earth, I swear. Okay, so in reproduction, as we said, we have two types. One is asexual reproduction, other one is sexual reproduction. And both of these are based on two important factors. One is habitat, other one is internal physiology of an organism. So coming to asexual reproduction, so we'll just have a quick glance, okay, people. So examples are quite essential, okay, for your CET examinations. So please go have this in your mind. So coming to asexual reproduction means it do not involve two parents, it involves only one parent. Okay, so sexuality is defined not with only the number of parents, but also with the genetic characteristics that are involved, right? If one parent is involved in giving rise to offsprings, that means the offsprings will also have the exact genetic copy, right? So that is why there is no genetic variation, and this can be called as asexual reproduction. So features of asexual reproduction are very, very simple. It involves usually a single parent. Okay, there is no gamete formation. There is only fusion. There is no fusion of gametes. There is no meiosis. Okay, why meiosis? For example, if I take humans, we have 46 chromosomes in our vegetative cells or somatic cells, right? So in our germ cells, that is sperms and ova, we can see that we are haploid number. That means we have 23 chromosomes either in egg or in sperm, right? So that means we are having half the genetic material. So that happens through meiosis, isn't it? Reductional division. So since these organisms, they reproduce asexually, they go under mitotic division to produce young ones. They do not go under meiosis, or there is absence of reductional division. Okay, so there are no specialized sex organs, and usually whatever the offsprings they are produced, they are exact genetic copies of their parents. So whenever you have one individual who makes two individuals, that means who reproduce two cells, right? So here it is 2n, that means diploid. Here is also it's 2n. Exact genetic material is passed on to its offsprings. Okay, these are the offsprings, right? So when both parent and the offsprings, right, they are identical. So these are called as clones, right? You cannot differentiate between who is a parent and who is an offspring. Just like me having 1,000 copies of me. I act the same, I eat the same, I behave the same, and I do everything the same. So we are called as clones. Anyways, so coming to the phases of reproduction, like where does the reproductive phase really comes into? As I say, sorry people, this is a question. Okay, the phase after reproductive phase is juvenile phase, senescent phase, aging phase, both B and C. Okay, so let me give you a poll. Okay, can you see? The phase after reproductive phases. Yeah. Come on, students, answer. I hope you can hear my voice since you did not give me a thumbs up. Okay. So it's 44 seconds. It should be such an easy answer, right? Easy question, first of all. So I'll end the poll. Okay. So let's see. It's such a simple question, isn't it? So after reproductive phase, it's senescent phase. We just spoke about it. Aging phase. So aging phase is also called as, sorry, senescent phase is also called as aging phase. So since both of them justify the same thing, our option is D. Yeah, someone texted. Yeah, D. That's right. That's right. JNV Rajkot, are you not able to see the polls on your screen? It should be easy, right? For you guys to just press the button. Okay, let me know if it's not visible. Chalo. Next one. So coming to the types of asexual reproduction. Okay. So you have so many different types of asexual reproduction, and most of it you've been studying from class 5. So let us take a glance of it. So asexual reproduction, we study the features of asexual reproduction, and the types of asexual reproductions are, okay, we have fission, we have fragmentation, budding, we have vegetative propagation, we have regeneration, and spore formation are the different types of asexual reproduction. Now coming to the fission are of two types. You have binary fission and you have multiple fission. So binary means two, right? Bi means two. Nari means like passing a groove which divides a cell into two, right? So based on how this binary fission happens, we have transverse binary fission, we have longitudinal binary fission, we have irregular binary fission, and we have oblique binary fission, okay, or diagonal binary fission. These are based on how the GRU runs during the cell division. Now, binary fission does not directly happen. You have a cell, for example, you have a mother cell, right? And the mother cell directly divides into two daughter cells. No, this doesn't happen. Okay, it takes a certain steps. You know it already. Okay, so once you have a mother cell, the mother cell will have the nucleus. The nucleus will condense, and the condensed nucleus will divide into two. This is called as karyokinesis, right? Karyo means nucleus, kinesis means division. Once you have a karyokinesis, now the cytoplasm will start having a furrow that runs in the center of the cell. Okay, furrow means the cytoplasm forms an invagination, including the plasma membrane. Okay, so this furrow runs in the center. So finally, it meets at one point, dividing the two cells into two daughter cells. So this is called as binary fission. So we have different types of binary fission. Well, the best example that you can think about is amoeba, right? Amoeba, paramecium, okay, euglena. So these are all the examples for binary fission. So next one is multiple fission. So multiple fission basically happens during the unfavorable condition. Okay, or one of the examples is plasmodium. Okay, plasmodium vivax is an example for multiple fission. And one more example is there, Entamoeba histolytica, the one that causes amoeboic dysentery, we call. Don't worry, we're going to pick up the names when we study human health and disease. Anyways, so you might have heard about amoeboic dysentery, or the dysentery that is caused because of the amoeba. Even that undergoes multiple fission, especially in the unfavorable condition. Here what happens, you see. So we call it a C-joint phase. Okay, you're gonna understand these phases as we go through the diseases. Anyways, so what happens here is, in simple terms, you have the nucleus, isn't it? The nucleus undergoes several divisions at a time. More like around 100 nucleus will form out of one nucleus. Okay, one will become two, two will become four. Okay, four will become eight, something like this. You see, so they keep on dividing. Once the nucleus is divided so much, now around this nucleus, like the frog eggs, you see, a small amount of cytoplasm and a membrane starts appearing around it. Okay, so forming this kind of a spore-like structure, like amoebospores, or forming these daughter cells. Okay, so these daughter cells increase in number. So once the favorable condition returns, okay, the cyst of this mother cell, cyst means the outer layer, will break. Okay, so leading to the release of these daughter cells. Okay, one cell is giving rise to more than two cells. So this is called as multiple fission. And the example is Entamoeba histolytica, and other one is Plasmodium. Okay, coming to fragmentation. Fragmentation means, you already know, breaking them into parts, right? So the example for fragmentation is Spirogyra and sponges. Okay, you know sponges, animalia, right? So now when you break this, each fragment will grow into a new individual. Okay, so the definition is fine. Fragmentation definition everybody knows, and you know what happens in fragmentation. What you will forget is the examples. Okay, the Spirogyra and the sponges are the very important examples for fragmentation. So next one. So you have a question, people. Which of the following is incorrect about sexual reproduction? Okay, so your options are: it involves single parent, it is slower than the sexual reproduction, it produces clones, no mitotic division occurs. Okay, so here you have your poll. Please try to answer in 30 seconds. It is slower than the sexual reproduction. Come on, come on. I'm getting varieties of answers here. Okay, so our time is 45 seconds. I think I should end the poll now. So let me end the poll. See, guys, actually, oh yeah, I have So many different answers. Okay. So anyways, let's see one by one. So what is incorrect about asexual reproduction that are asked? Okay. So something incorrect. It involves single parent. This is a right option, right? It is lower than sexual reproduction. Obviously, asexual reproduction is faster than sexual reproduction. It is not slower. It is very rapid. You can see that within an hour, so many cells can divide, right? So this is wrong actually. Okay. Let us see the third option. It produces clones. What did I tell you about clone? Genetically identical. People, cloning means, for example, somebody picked up this option. So for them, I'm telling you, see, this is me, okay? So this is me, okay? So, sorry, okay, this is me. So when me produces me, okay, what will happen? If only me produces me, then they look exactly like me. That means we are genetically identical, right? So if in humans, what will happen? We have female and male, okay, they produce a baby. Now here, these babies will be, kind of non-identical, right? Like if you look at your parents and if you look at yourself, you don't exactly match like them. You have at least some features that are different from them. We are like little variants. Whereas if you see in asexual reproduction, you're like 100% copies, like photocopies. Okay. So those are called as clones. Yes, asexual reproduction results in formation of clones. Whereas you see, they made a small mistake in typing this question, or the question itself is like this. No mitotic division occurs. Is it true? Mitotic division occurs, isn't it? What did I tell you about mitosis? Mitosis is equational division. So what is happening here? Let us say that the amoebas, they're haploid, isn't it? Okay. Amoebas, the genetics. So chromosomes are, there are no chromosomes, but let's say that their genetics genes is n number, right? So anyways, so if they divide, the daughters will also have n, right? So that means they have to undergo what division? Mitosis. So mitosis do occur. So this is also a wrong option. No mitotic division occurs. Mitotic division occurs. So there are two wrong options. Anyways, so we know what is our right answer. So if this was meiosis, if they had given meiosis, no meiotic division occurs, then it would be right. Do you agree with me? So if not, put it in the suggestion. Okay. Anyways, so the next one is budding. So budding is also a type of cell division in simple terms. But here we know that when a cell division happens, it happens what do you tell? Equally, right? There is equal cell division. Whereas when it comes in budding, budding is a type of unequal cell division. You can see here in for example in Hydra or in yeast, what happens? On the parent cell, a small exvagination occurs. So this small outgrowth that happens in the cell, it bulges out, and at one particular stage, they detach from their parent body, and each detached bud we can call. So they develop into a new young one. So what is significant in budding is what type of division it is. It is an unequal division. So that one. What are the examples? Yeast and Hydra are the examples. Next one is spore formation. So you might have heard about spore formation a lot when it comes to the spores of your fungi, right? So during unfavorable conditions, what happens? For example, if your rhizopus, if you take, there are spores formed, isn't it? So here, what happens during unfavorable condition? The spores are formed within the sporangium, or the pouch-like structure is called as sporangium. So here you have studied a lot on how the formation of spores takes place asexually. Like for example, two hyphae belonging to the same fungi come close together. You know what is hyphae, right? So they come close together. They fuse to form. Okay, they come and fuse. You have plasmogamy, and then you have karyogamy. Okay, so once you have this karyogamy, then you have this dikaryon, right? So after that, what will happen? This will develop into a spore. Spore will undergo, the continuous reductional division. There you have this haploid spores, and these haploid spores are nothing but asexual spores, and they get dispersed when the favorable conditions come, and they go and fall on the new food surface, and each spore will start developing into a new hyphae. So the story is known, I feel. Okay, if you don't know, just refer to your fungi or mycota in biological classification. So probably it will help you. Okay. So this is about spore formation. Now coming to regeneration, this is like a superpower. Everybody knows planaria, hydra, and starfish. So whenever they are cut in certain plane, okay, so each piece or each fragment will grow into a new organism. So see here, what is the difference between fragmentation and regeneration? You see, you cut off the head will grow the tail. You cut off the tail will grow a new head. So that is the beauty about regeneration. You see, the parts are non-identical, but yet they will grow back whatever the parts they were missing. So that happens in regeneration. Okay. Now coming to vegetative propagation. So the vegetative propagation, we refer it especially with respect to plants. So whatever the asexual reproduction that happens in the plants are called as vegetative propagation, and whatever the part that is involved in the vegetative propagation is called as vegetative propagule. So under vegetative propagule, we have roots, we have stem, we have leaves, we have bulbils. So many different parts of the plants, they participate in vegetative propagation. So coming to the types of vegetative propagation, we have two types of vegetative propagation. One is natural, other one is artificial. So in natural vegetative propagation, which occurs in the plant, so it happens through, what did I tell? Root, stem, and leaves. Okay, root parts we'll talk about it later. Coming to the stem can be an underground stem, a stem can be a creeping stem, or a stem can be an aerial stem. So all these different types of stems are known to undergo vegetative propagation. Anyways, coming to the root. So some of the examples you already know. For example, sweet potato, not potato, sweet potato, dahlia, the beautiful flower, guava, okay, and the adventitious roots of all these plants. So they have this capacity to go under vegetative propagation. Nothing. The tuber of this, sweet potato is taken, or the tuber of the dahlia or guava is taken, and then it is sown into a new place, and then they start growing into a new plant. So this is about them. Coming to the underground stem, so you have so many different types. Okay, so remember the examples. So you have sucker. Okay, I'll show you the picture. Okay, you have the suckers. Yeah, the example is chrysanthemum. The rhizome. Okay, example is ginger, turmeric. Okay, and then we have water hyacinth. Remember this, rhizome and water hyacinth. You see, water hyacinth. So you might have heard about the terror of Bengal, right? Water hyacinth. So terror of Bengal. So what happened? I had been to Assam. So here what happened? The entire place, West Bengal and Assam, they're very quite near, if my geography is right. There are so many freshwater sources, like ponds and lakes are so many in this region. But it is so sad to see the entire area is covered by water hyacinth. It looks like polluted water. So it was called terror of Bengal because it multiplies asexually, and it is so rapid in its multiplication, right? So the people, our Indians, bought this water hyacinth, looking at the shape of the leaves and the flower, thinking that it's a very beautiful plant. But it became an invasive plant because of its exceptional capacity to divide so fast using this rhizome, which is a stem. Okay, so the asexual reproduction is very, very rapid. So it grows so much, it causes biological oxygen demand, choking all these aquatic organisms like fishes, okay, without the oxygen. So anyways, rhizome, water hyacinth, remember this. Okay, and ginger. Okay, ginger is also rhizome. Corms. Okay, corms, for example, banana. Okay, banana, colocasia, okay, and gladiolus are the examples for corms. Coming to bulbils, this is quite familiar for you. Onion, lilies, and garlic are the examples of bulbs. Next one is tuber, potato, bud, right? Potato tuber we call. So let us see one by one. So this is sucker. You see, people, for example, mint. So you might have had pudina or mint for your dishes, right? So yeah, if you see how the pudina grows, you can see if you just take one section of a pudina plant, and if you sow it in a very moist or damp region, now what will happen? You can see that there is a sucker that grows, and and it forms a node, and each node starts developing into a new plant. Again it has a sucker, it will grow again, it will start growing roots, and again a new plant, something like this, and then it will become like a huge bush of pudina. Okay, for one small section of pudina is enough for you to supplement your family for a very long time with mint leaves. Okay, next one is rhizome. Very simple. You have ginger. Okay, the ginger, it has a rhizome similar to, it looks like that. It looks like potato, but it, very slim potato, we can tell. So you can see that there are like kind of eye-like structure. Okay, something like this. Okay, on ginger, right? So, so these things, if you just take a section and if you sow, they will start growing into a new one. Okay, similarly goes with water hyacinth and as well as garlic. Okay, next one is corms. So the best way to see corm is here. You see corm. Okay, these are called as corms. So where does the corm come from? See, this is the banana plant. Okay, so if you see the banana plant near the the lower stem where it is matured, a small portion of this swollen part of this underground stem of this banana, it will be having a small tiny banana plant. Okay, these are nothing but corms. So if we extract them, they would look like this. So if you sow this, it will grow into a new plant. So this is about banana. So bulbils, we already know the onion bulb, isn't it? You take your onion and then put it in the soil, it will grow into a new plant. Okay. So usually the reproductive vegetative fragmentive part or propagule is here in this region. Okay. So this region is enough for us to have a plant. Next one is tuber. So takes a potato. So the potato has eyes like this, isn't it? Small, small eyes. Now you can just put them in moist water. So that will give rise to something like this. Okay, the sprout. So this sprout you can extract and put it in the soil, and they grow into new potato. Okay, watch Martian movie. So one potato, he grows into so many potatoes. Similarly, okay, the vegetative propagule in potato is called as tuber or eye of potato. Okay, so coming to the creeping stems, we have stems. Okay, what are the different types of creepy? Creepy means like how they go like this, creeping, something like this. Okay, so this is called creeping. So in creeping stem we have three types. One is runner, other one is talon, other one is offset. So what are runners? Runners example is grass, oxalis. Okay, doob examples. Please remember the examples. Okay, stolen example is vallisneria and strawberry. So remember the example vallisneria. It's quite important for the next chapter. Okay, and even strawberry. Offset example is pistia, and you have water lettuce. So what is a runner? See people, in grass, if you observe, right? So you can see that a part of a stem keeps running in the underground, and here and there it starts giving rise to aerial shoots. So these are called as runners. Example is doob, grass, and oxalis. What is a stolon? The stolon is also similar to that of a runner. Okay, here what happens? Okay, a part of a stem. Okay, again it originates. Here what happens is it originates from the main plant, and again it goes and it forms a nodule. There the root grows, and then finally what will happen? They all creep. Okay, they're all attached to the main plant body. Okay, and then what will happen? It will start giving rise to a new plant. Example is what? Strawberry and vallisneria. Okay, then we have offsets. So offsets example is pistia and water hyacinth. Okay, again water hyacinth is an example for offset. Okay, so here what happens? A special part of a stem arises from the root nodule region. Okay, here what happens? It grows and it moves transversely. Okay, usually you see water hyacinth is a water plant, isn't it? So it grows laterally, and there it forms a bud where it gives rise to a young plant. So example for offset. All right. So coming to aerial stems, example is bulbils. Okay. What are bulbils? Whenever you have a bud, okay, you know what is axillary bud, isn't it? So it becomes fleshy, round, and usually it is meant for the storage of food. Now these are called as bulbils. So when it detaches and when it falls on the ground, it develops into a new plant. Example, you have agave. Very important. Okay, bulbils, agave, this was asked, agave, and then you have your diascoria. So agave was asked. Okay, just remember this agave. Okay, fine. Now leaves. One of the best example for leaves is Brahma Kamalam or Bryophyllum, which blooms in a full moon. Exceptionally beautiful plant, right? So they have this leaf blades. Okay, this is the leaf of a Bryophyllum. So at the margins of the leaves, you have adventitious buds. Okay, these are called as leaf buds. So these leaf buds like this, when they detach and fall onto the surface, okay, so these things, okay, when they detach and fall onto the new surface, they start growing into a new Bryophyllum. Okay, so the example for leaf buds, okay, or leaf vegetative propagule is Bryophyllum or Brahmakamal, and okay, and then develop into a new plant. Right. So you have your homework. Okay, so this would be very, I don't know how seriously you will take, but it is better, students, if you just work on it. So you have to just make out what's the difference between fragmentation and regeneration, and what's the difference between multiple fission and spore formation. Okay, so these are some of the examples you need to pick up. All right, so coming to artificial vegetative reproduction or propagation, we have cutting, grafting, layering, and tissue culture, which are horticultural techniques which we generally mention. So what is cutting? You take one of the mature parts of a stem, leaf, or root, and it is cut, okay, at a specific location, okay, and then you just plant the plant on the ground. For example, hibiscus, you might have seen hibiscus. People take mature stem at the nodal region and then they put it on the soil, and then they cap it with the manure. For example, it might be cow dung or anything, okay, natural manure, and they tie the plant wherever it is being cut, and after some time it will start sprouting the new leaves. Okay, this is called as cutting. Next one is grafting. You know what is a graft, right? So basically what happens, see, cutting or scion. So once the desired graft is cut, okay, this is the stock plant. So from the stock plant, what do we extract? We extract a graft, or it is also called as scion. So this scion, and then for another donor plant, what will happen? We attach this scion to the graft. So this is called as graft union. And once the graft union is made, so they will put some manure and everything, and then they wrap it with a plastic sheet for a period of time. So that will attach, and it will start repairing itself, and it will start growing into a new plant. For example, you can grow white, pink, and red flowers of rose in a same plant. Correct, right? You didn't understand. White flower, red flower, and pink flower are three different flowers, colors of flowers, and they are the same flower, that is a rose flower. So you can grow all these colors in the same plant using the grafting. Next one is layering. Okay, what happens? You take either stem nodes. Okay, so whenever, for example, jasmine. Okay, so or you have your rubber plant. So when you have this, see, you take a stem, you bend the stem, and then you put it under the soil. So now what will happen? Whichever the mature stem that is put under the soil, they start growing the roots, and after that they get detached, and this will grow into a new plant. Example is jasmine. Okay, so this is called as layering. Now tissue culture, it is a modern technique. So basically what we're doing is we obtain explants. Okay, and usually explants can be any part of the plant, like shoots, leaves, roots, etc. So explants can be of thousands of number, and they are of desired character. Desired character means the characteristics which I need only. I don't want any other plant to grow in my lab, right? So what do? I take these explants, I create a medium. We'll talk about all of this, okay? I create a medium. Medium is something that they can feed on, ready-made food for these explants to grow, okay? So they use this medium that is given to them. You can see the seeds are grown here, okay? Similarly, some of the plant shoots are grown here, okay? So thousands of these explants, okay, are taken, and then they're given this medium where they can grow. You can see here, right? Just by maintaining the biochemical aspects like hormones, minerals, micronutrients, macronutrients, you can develop an entirely new plant having the same genetic nature. They're also clones, okay? So this is called as tissue culture, and thousands of micropropagules can be obtained in a very short period of time of a desired nature. All right, students. So we became quite late. So reproduction in organisms, especially sexual reproduction, we'll talk in the next class. Okay. So if you have any doubts, you can just post your doubts now for another few minutes. I will stop the session now. Thank you, students. Have a nice day. Happy Sunday.